So I think every country undergoes metamorphosis where there is a transformation that happens and you move. It's much larger than change. I think India is exactly at the cusp of that. We all start deriving towards that purpose and we start building up things that give value. I think it can be a different India. 1.4 billion people today and maybe tomorrow 1.8 or 1.9 billion, and the youth that exists between the age of 18 and 35, they could be utilized towards channelizing their energy, their creativity and their outputs. I think it can be a great outcome for the country. A lot of leaders believe that they're the best people in the organization or maybe the world, and then they act as if nobody can do anything else. So I think more confidence in or overconfidence in yourself and underconfidence in the capability of your team is one of the prone things for leadership.
Good morning, everyone. Rishikesh Theti here, reporting from Bharat 2.0 Conclave, where the country's most influential business leaders have gathered to discuss the future of India. Here we have joining right now today with us is Dr. Raghunandan Jagdish. How has the day been so far, Mr.?
Hi, Rishikesh. So I think the day is fantastic, very well organized event, Bharat 2.0, and I think it is high time. 1947 was when we got our independence. 2047 seems very far away, but I think the seeds of those need to be put in today so that we have giant trees by the time it's ready. So great event, and I think Dhruv and your team have done a fantastic job of organizing it, curating it and executing it.
Our pleasure, sir. Thank you so much. What does Bharat 2.0 represent to you as a leader, and why do you think it matters today especially?
So I think every country undergoes metamorphosis where there is a transformation that happens and you move. It's much larger than change. I think India is exactly at the cusp of that.
Absolutely.
And what got us here won't take us there. So if India wants to be the world's third largest economy and wants to sustain it and wants to grow upon it. So today when we are talking about number 2 is 30 trillion and we are struggling to reach 5 trillion. So that's a huge gap. I think if India wants to reach there and be number 3 in a decisive manner, we want to be leaders at what we are doing, use our demographic. We are the world's most populous country, but how do we utilize that?
Indeed.
I think there's a lot of hard work that needs to get done, and that begins with a lot of vision. And I think events like these do set the vision for people to take it forward, because one Narendra Modi can't do everything. Each one of us needs to be Bharat and take it forward.
That's very well said. Thank you so much. Looking back, what has been the toughest experience in your business journey so far?
It's about the ups and downs. So whenever there's a fall, it's very prone that you say, oh my God, let's just leave it and it's not worth it anymore and let's do something easier. But then all the hard work of getting there is difficult. So that resilience has been one of the toughest parts. But I think once you stick to it, in the long run, it's always those companies which are resilient, which are able to then take that forward. So I think in my own journey over the last 23 years, personally as the co-founder of Nandan GSE Private Limited, that resilience has been seen in multiple places. During 2008, during the Great Depression and the SARS breakout, 2014 again there was trouble, 2019 COVID of course. At every point it could have eradicated out a lot of companies, but those companies which bounced back and showed resilience are the ones that grew. So in every crisis there is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And everybody who sees Apada mein Avsar, like you say, I think those are the ones that will grow.
That's a
and
great
we try to do that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think there's any opportunity in Bharat that people are still overlooking or underestimating, according to you?
The demographics of the country, they're used to believing that people are available in plenty, so you don't need to really look to utilize them better. One field in which I'm a specialist in, which is material handling. We've had mathadis or manual labor lifting and putting things, moving things, because labor was available and unemployment is a problem. But today a mathadi's son becomes something else. So tomorrow it's not a choice, it's something that people have to invest. Absolutely. Companies can set up a large factory and do mechanization, but material movement gets in. So Nandan GSE is working on cutting edge material movement, whether it's for boxes, pallets, missiles or even people, and we try to work with that. So I foresee that that is going to be the trend. That's how China grew, that's how the Europeans and the Americans grew, and that's where India has to grow to.
Certainly. Do you think if this is applied, what would be the case in like 20 to 40 years ahead?
So if the purpose of my company and myself is to utilize the mankind for better things rather than manual handling. So if we all start deriving towards that purpose and we start building up things that give value, I think it can be a different India. 1.4 billion people today, and maybe tomorrow 1.8 or 1.9 billion, and the youth that exists between the age of 18 and 35, they could be utilized towards channelizing their energy, their creativity, and their outputs. I think it can be a great outcome for the country where we are channelizing positive energy. If it is not channelized, trust me, like a few other countries in the world, it will get channelized towards a lot of non-negative things, and the world will be in conflict and turmoil all the time.
Yeah, agreed on that. Here we have a few rapid fire questions for you, just to take a break from the tension.
Sure.
Are you ready for those? You just have to answer it very quickly, whatever the first thing comes to your mind. Just,
Sure.
Yeah, it's very chill. So the first thing is, can you name us one overrated leadership quality for you?
I think it's self-capability. A lot of leaders believe that they're the best people in the organization or maybe the world, and then they act as if nobody can do anything else. So I think more confidence in or overconfidence in yourself and underconfidence in the capability of your team is one of the prone things for leadership. Once you overcome that, like for example Ratan Tata, he always put himself back and the team forward. I think that is a great point.
Amazing. What is one go-to movie or a TV show that you watch in your free time?
Not really a show. I'm not very much of a TV person, but movies like Pursuit of Happiness was a great lesson-driven thing on how things can be done. I used to love the Rookie is something that I'm watching about now, and of course Suits gives a lot of business acumen and strategy from there. So being like Harvey Specter is always something I
Great choice, by the way. Okay, so who is one leader that you would love to have coffee with? It can be from any industry. It can be from arts, from science, from technology, sports, any.
So for me, I think it'll be Elon Musk. He's an engineer just like me. The purpose that Elon Musk saves is very simple: save humanity, which seems very halka.
Yeah.
But he's actually living that purpose by trying to colonize Mars, using solar power and changing the face of fossil fuel vehicles. So definitely it's Elon Musk. I have other two role models, Richard Branson and Ratan Tata. I've already had tea with Ratan Tata.
Oh my God.
So Ratan Tata sir's house car parking was made by us. So the last 10 years of his life, all his cars were parked in car systems made by Nandan GSE.
That's you.
Richard Branson also, hopefully sometime soon, I'll go to Necker Island with him and live a weekend. But
Absolutely.
Elon is my go-to.
Wow,
choice.
amazing. And what is one piece of advice you have for the young business leaders that are here today?
I think more than entertainment, put a little time on learning, because you can't know everything. The more you learn, the more you learn. So put in an hour or two every day towards that, broadening your horizons. Rather than social media, try to activate it into learning about newer technologies, people, skills, and reading books. Reading books seems to have gone out of fashion, but it's always a great thing. I read about 50 books a year. Whenever I travel, I just pick up and continue on. So I would give that to every young leader I talk to, saying first you learn and then you earn.
Wow, nice. Speaking of books, what is one book you would recommend everyone to at least read once in their lives?
I would give you two books, bonus 1+1.
Of course.
One is a book called Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. As a business leader, Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, they embody a lot of what it means to be an entrepreneur. Even though it was written in the 1940s, still relevant today. The books are only this thick, so
This thick,
it
yeah.
takes a lot of patience to read it. And the second book is a book called Scaling Up by a guy called Vern Harnish. It's a very simple book, but if it is used like a workbook, it can be changing your company. So I read it during just a year before the pandemic, and it helped me to overcome and convert my people. So there are four things and four decisions that you would take: strategy, people, execution, and cash. So if you take care of all these four things, your company can pivot into something different. So I would strongly recommend everybody to read that.
Well, thank you for your suggestions, and also thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your
Cool thing.
busy schedule.
Thank you. All
so
the very best to your show too.
Thank you.